Everybody, T.D.F.M here, back in the tub yet again. Today's date is June 29th, 2026 at 3:54 a.m. right now. Back in the tub again, thinking about my life. Yeah, my life is shitty. And the main reason why my life is so shitty is because of the system. You know, the system just completely ruined and destroyed me as a person. They completely just tortured me my whole adolescence while pretending like they were helping or treating me, when in reality that couldn't be any farther from the truth. They just ruined and destroyed me as a person. The system gave me literal severe brain damage, severe PTSD, psychologically tortured me and wasted my time from a very young age and fucking made me aggressive, made me violent. That's why I'm fucking violent. I wasn't born violent, okay? I was made to be violent by them. That's how I grew up, because I grew up in fucking places that were like jail, okay? And similar to prison, you know, you don't talk shit to somebody. Like out in the free world, you might be able to run your mouth and talk shit to someone, but how I grew up, shit talking was grounds for violence, physical violence, just like it would be in prison. No different, exact same concept. You know, which is just yet another example of how much of a joke the system is. Because the system says, like, oh, don't be violent, don't be this, that. But then they make people be violent. You know, so they fuck up and ruin people and make them shitty, and then they villainize them for being exactly what they made them to be, which is also exactly the case for me. And I don't got a shirt on under my jacket right now because I didn't feel like putting one on, but that's not important. In case you were wondering about that. But that's exactly what they did to even me. You know, I am very fucking violent. I am very aggressive because they made me to be that way. When I was younger, 18, 19, I did all types of training to fight and to get good at fighting and to get good at violence. And I trained how to fight since a young age, since I was like, I don't know, I think I started 12 in weightlifting with the intent of getting stronger for fight reasons when I was like 12. And I think by the time I was 14, I started to train how to throw punches properly. You know, because this might come as a surprise, but I do know how to fight. I am a skilled fighter. But I wasn't born like that. I trained myself to be that way. And the reason why I trained myself is because I learned the value of violence and aggression from a very young age. Okay? That's why I know how to fight, and that's the whole reason why I know how to fight. That's the whole reason why I trained myself over the course of years to fight and to be violent and to be as good at violence as I could possibly be. When I was younger, I didn't understand at the time, because I was young, like I was 18, 19. When I was doing like a shitload of fight training, you know, ice cold, freezing showers for an hour. I took like a ice cold shower for an hour at a time in this shower up here in this bathroom I'm in right now. The same one you're listening to on the audio running. I did like 2-hour-long shadow boxing sessions back and forth in the basement of the house I live in when my setup used to be down there. I lifted the fuck out of weights and got like a bunch of muscle mass on my arms, which has gone down since then because I haven't worked out in a very long time because of depression, because of my issues. But when I was younger doing these things, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't understand at the time that the only reason why I was doing what I was doing and thinking what I was thinking, feeling what I was feeling was because of fucking trauma. Because the system made me to be that way. Because they fucking tortured me my whole life and all the shit I've been through. So that's going to make you adopt a mentality of, okay, I need to be as tough and violent and aggressive as I could, and as strong and skilled as I could just possibly be, just to survive, you know? I didn't understand that that's what was making me think and feel the way I was thinking and feeling like I do now that I'm older. Because at the time of this recording, I am 27 years old. It's June 29th, 2026. Like I said at the beginning. But when I was like 18, 19, doing a shitload of training, which again I did from even younger, but a lot of this at 18 and 19 because I wasn't in school anymore. So lots of my free time I put into training how to fight and shit. Even more so. You know, they made me that way. They made me violent, they made me aggressive. And then they villainized me for it. They villainized me for being violent and aggressive when they're the ones that fucking made me that way in the first place. They did. You know, back on April 5th of this year, 2026, I said something happened with my father here. Something did happen. You know what happened? Me and him actually ended up fighting. We had a fight, me and him. Because he tried to do his little narcissistic man-child antics, kind of like he used to do when I was younger and he used to live here back then. He tried to do that now and like terrorize me and grandma again. And he found out real fucking quick that that wasn't gonna fly now, okay? He found out real quick that that was not gonna fly. I ended up fighting him and I ended up beating him up pretty decently badly. Because and he virtually begged me to do it. You know, he was like downstairs. He like vaped in the house. We confronted him about it. He like screamed up the stairs, "Fuck both of you!" And then when my grandmother wasn't here, he like screamed like "Fuck you!" while he was downstairs. And screamed it again a second time, even louder, "Fuck you!" So I came out of my bedroom and I come downstairs like, "What are you screaming at? What are you screaming at? What are you screaming at?" Then he like walks the living room towards me, the same living room where my grandfather used to sleep. And he said, "Oh, why, you gonna do something?" You know, he was the one that put that on the table first. He was the one that, you know, implied violence by saying that, you know? So I said, yeah, I am gonna do something. And what this motherfucker does next was a big mistake. He walks up to like the little step in the kitchen that you probably see in some videos. He walks up that step and he gets super close to my face like this. Like he wants me to like fucking make out with him or something. Practically begging me to hit him or punch him or fight him. And guess what I did? I punched him right in the fucking face. That's what I did. Punched him right in the face. I can't believe he thought he could do that to me, especially now with all my issues that I deal with on a daily basis, and I was gonna let that fly? Nah, I fucking punched him right in the face. And I pushed him back a little bit too. I'm like, yeah, that's right. 27, not 14 anymore, not 16 anymore. Because he used to try to fight me when I was younger too. And he had, you know, an advantage over me because he was like 40 something years old and I'm like 14 or 16 at the time back then. And then I disengaged with him. I made grandma come back home because I told her what happened. So she came back home and then she confronted him. And then he started to go off like, "Oh, he punched me in the face, so he's going to the locker room, calling the cops." And I'm like, "Oh, you're a fucking coward." I started to scream and he's a coward. Because he is. You know, you practically beg me to fight you and to hit you. And then when I do, now you're going to act like you're a victim and you're going to go, "Oh, I'm calling the police, he's going to the locker." So I call his ass a fucking coward, which is what he is for doing that. And then he makes another stupid move. He like super aggressively like jumps up off the couch like he was going to come at me to attack me. So what did I do? I came back at his ass and I punched him in the face some more. I punched him in the face like 5 times in a row, you know, like good punches in the face. I can punch really hard too, you know. I can punch hard. Again, I'm a trained fighter. I give him like 5 hard punches in the face. And we're tussling and shit. I punch the shit out of his face. I break his nose. I give him 2 black eyes. I bloody his nose from me punching the fuck out of him. He like grabs me like by my hair and like pulls my head down because he knew he was getting his ass whooped, so he did that as a coward move, which is what he is, a coward, to fucking, you know, stop me from whooping his ass. And again, this happened back on April 5th of this year, 2026 was the date this happened. Now, I think in that Living with PTSD and Brain Damage video, I was like, oh, another thing about this is, and I thought about showing you something, but then I was like, oh, maybe another time, you know, because it was a controversial picture. And I'll show it to you now. This is some more evidence that this happened, but only briefly because I don't want YouTube to get upset with this video. But this is strictly for documentation purposes, YouTube. That is the aftermatch of him on the kitchen floor after I, you know, beat his ass. That's an alternative picture of the blood on the floor. That's his blood on my hand from me punching the fuck out of him. And yeah, so I'm not going to show that anymore because, again, YouTube, strictly for documentation purposes, not trying to glorify violence, just some evidence that this happened beyond my own word of mouth, which is why I took those pictures in the first place, as some proof that this did happen beyond just me speaking the words I'm speaking. But my point is, I did that. I fought him. I beat him up. Did I really care? No, I didn't care. I didn't see it as a big deal. Even now, I still really don't, just because I'm so ridiculously just hardened and damaged at this point in my life because of everything I've been through and everything the system has done to me my whole life. To the point where a little scrap like that is like, who cares? Big fucking deal. But yeah, I never wanted to do that to my own father. He's my father, and we're better now, as you can see in some other videos I posted, like his new apartment video from May 28th, 2026. Obviously that's after April 5th of 2026. But that happened when he was here, and that's why he left. And then he eventually got that new apartment that I showcased in that one video from May 28th, 2026. So we're back on good terms now. But that did happen, and he did leave here because that happened. And I'm just using that story as an example as to, you know, kind of give you some evidence that I really am just desensitized to violence and fighting because of how hardened and damaged I am, and that's my point. And I guess that's the end of this video because it's getting kind of long, so hope you enjoyed this video in the bathroom yet again. And I got no shirt on in my jacket because I didn't feel like putting one on. But yeah, alright, bye bye. Catch you on the next one, I guess.